Hello and a very good evening. You're watching the news at 6 with me, Frank Pereira, on Rajya Sabha Television. Here are today's headlines. India and Qatar signed 5 agreements after delegation-level talks agreed to strengthen cooperation in energy, trade and security. Two-day Heart of Asia conference begins in Amritsar. Top officials of 14 member countries to discuss key challenges including terrorism and ways to bring peace in Afghanistan. Prime Minister Modi hard sells his government's demonetization move at rally in Moradabad, warns against misuse of Jan Dhan accounts. State government employee killed during encounter between security forces and terrorists in Kulgam district of Jammu and Kashmir. 2 suspected terrorists escaped. And China lodges complaint with the US over President-elect Trump talking to Taiwanese president. Conversation is in direct conflict with Beijing's One China policy. Well, India and Qatar signed 5 pacts in areas of visas, cyberspace, investments and ports management. This came after Prime Minister Modi held talks with visiting Qatar Prime Minister on the key issues of energy, trade and security. The two nations also agreed on joint action to tackle money laundering and terror financing.
India and Qatar signed 5 agreements on Saturday following delegation-level talks led by Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his Qatari counterpart Sheikh Abdullah bin Nasser bin Khalifa Al Thani. Thani had arrived in the national capital yesterday. 5 agreements have been signed, including in the fields of visas, cyberspace, investments and national ports management. Earlier, the two leaders discussed enhancing cooperation in defense and security and agreed on joint action to tackle money laundering and terrorist financing. The two leaders also acknowledged that the current level of trade and investment between India and Qatar was much below potential. Qatar is India's important trading partner in the Gulf region and is also the largest supplier of LNG. After the meet, Prime Minister Modi highlighted opportunities available for Qatari investment in India's infrastructure and energy sectors. This is the first visit of Sheikh Abdullah to India. He also met Home Minister Rajnath Singh and is scheduled to meet President Pranab Mukherjee before leaving for Doha. This is the third high-level bilateral engagement between the two nations in the past 2 years. The visit of Qatari Emir Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani to India in March 2015 was followed by the visit of Prime Minister Modi to Qatar this June. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, the 6th Heart of Asia Ministerial Conference on State-Sponsored Terrorism began in Amritsar in Punjab on Saturday. The 2-day meeting and annual gathering of Asian and other countries is a platform for regional cooperation that places Afghanistan at its center. Issues including peace, cooperation and economic development in Afghanistan will dominate the summit. India, China, Russia, Iran and Pakistan are some of the participating countries. This is the first time that India is hosting this conference.
The 2-day multilateral global summit, Heart of Asia, began in Amritsar on Saturday. The main agenda of this international summit is to tackle the threat of terrorism in the region. Delegates from nearly 40 countries are participating in the conference. The theme for this year is addressing challenges, achieving prosperity. On Saturday, top officials of 14 member countries including India, China, Russia, Iran and Pakistan discussed various challenges faced by Afghanistan, including revival of a peace process in the conflict-ridden country. Eliminating militancy in South Asia and improving connectivity in Afghanistan will also be key areas of discussions.
That the Indo-Pak relations will also figure in. Terrorism will be a dominant subject. Both Afghanistan and India have been victims of terrorism from Pakistan. So the fact that there is a country in this region which is using terror as an instrument of state policy is bound to figure in. Pakistan may not be named clearly, but nobody will have a doubt the reference is to Pakistan.
The main conference will be inaugurated jointly by Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Afghan President Ashraf Ghani on Sunday. Finance Minister Arun Jaitley will lead the Indian delegation. Amid heightened tensions with Pakistan, India will step up efforts to corner Pakistan diplomatically and mobilize support for concrete action against state-sponsored terrorism. Pakistan Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif's foreign policy advisor Sartaj Aziz will also be part of the conference. In view of the event, 11 companies of paramilitary forces and over 5,000 policemen have been deployed in Amritsar. The Heart of Asia Istanbul process was founded in 2011 and the first conference was held at Istanbul that year.
This is new Amritsar, part of a smart city project in the country. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi wants to showcase Amritsar as a symbol of new urbanization in the country. The second reason why Heart of Asia conference was chosen in Amritsar because it connects India, Pakistan and Afghanistan through the old Grand Trunk route. And the third reason why Amritsar was chosen because Punjab is going to face election in coming days and Amritsar is the heart of Punjab and without winning the heart, you cannot win votes. Akhilesh Suman for Rajya Sabha Television with camera person Manoj in Amritsar.
Well, Akhilesh Suman, our correspondent, joins us live from Amritsar right now. Akhilesh, as far as the Heart of Asia conference is concerned, we understand that Sartaj Aziz has already arrived in Amritsar, ahead of plan. Is there any talk of any bilaterals between India and Pakistan on the sidelines of the summit?
Yeah, Frank, it is very clear from the very beginning that India has no choice. Rather, India has not taken any interest in organizing any bilateral with Sartaj Aziz. Neither Pakistan has asked for any meeting with Indian counterparts. So there is no chance that there will be bilateral as such. But in a situation like this, when foreign ministers of different countries are there, they are meeting in the same meeting, there is one goal. So there is no, you cannot tell that they will not meet. There will be some handshake, there will be some informal talk, and there will be talk in the meeting. But as far as dialogue process is concerned between India and Pakistan, it is not going to happen. It has been very clear from the very beginning, and it was told by Indian External Affairs spokesperson that cross-border terrorism cannot be a new normal to begin the dialogue process between the two countries. So you should not expect that there will be any constructive or any structured talk between India and Pakistan at this point of time.
All right, we'll have later that. Akhilesh Suman, thank you so much for joining us there with those details from Amritsar. Moving on now, the GST Council failed to break deadlock even on the second day of the meet. The Council has now decided to meet again on December 11th and 12th. The Council is expected to resolve the contentious point of dual control of assesses under the new indirect tax regime. The sixth meeting of the Goods and Services Tax Council, headed by Finance Minister Arun Jaitley and comprising state finance ministers, will also deliberate on the impact of demonetization on revenue.
एक जो क्रूशल इशू है जिसपे 3-4 मीटिंग्स हो चुकी हैं क्रॉस एम्पावरमेंट का, ड्यूअल कंट्रोल का, लंच के बाद उसके ऊपर चर्चा हुई और विशेष रूप से वो जो चर्चा हुई वो आईजीएसटी कानून के साथ जोड़ के हुई। उस दोनों की साइमल्टेनियसली हम लोगों ने चर्चा की है और वो चर्चा भी काफी देर तक होती रही और उसको रिजॉल्व करने के लिए बातचीत आगे बढ़ी। 2-3 तरह के सुझाव आए हैं और वो डिस्कशन कंटिन्यू हो रहा है। 11 और 12 तारीख को ये दोनों विषय एजेंडा पे रहेंगे, यानी कंप्लीशन ऑफ द अप्रूवल ऑफ सीजीएसटी एसजीएसटी ड्राफ्ट्स जो काफी हद तक आगे बढ़ा है, उसके बाद कॉम्पेंसेशन ड्राफ्ट और दूसरा एजेंडा है आईजीएसटी और क्रॉस एम्पावरमेंट का लॉ।
Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed a Parivartan rally in Moradabad district of coal-bound Uttar Pradesh on Saturday. In a bid to woo voters, Modi said he did not contest the Lok Sabha election from Uttar Pradesh just to win, but to eradicate poverty from the state. He also tried to convince people on the long-term positive impact of demonetization.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi continued to hard sell his government's decision of demonetization on Saturday. At a rally in Moradabad district of UP, the Prime Minister told the gathering that corruption has held back the country for years, but now post-demonetization, the honest will be awarded and hoarders will spend sleepless nights.
चीनी के लिए भी तो कतार में कभी खड़ा रहना पड़ता था, मिट्टी का तेल लाने के लिए कतार में खड़ा रहना पड़ता था, PL 480 गेहूं लेने के लिए कभी कतार में खड़ा रहना पड़ता था। आपने देश को कतार में 70 साल तक खड़ा किया है। उन कतारों को खत्म करने के लिए ये मैंने आखिरी कतार लगाई है भाइयों।
However, he cautioned the poor not to get misled by the corrupt.
कभी किसी अमीर को गरीब के पैर पकड़ते देखा था? भाइयों बहनों, आज जिन बेईमान लोगों ने पैसा जमा किया है वो गरीबों के घर में भी कतार लगा के खड़े हैं। बैंक में कतार लगाने की उनकी ताकत नहीं है। बैंक के बाहर तो वो कतार लगाता है जिसमें ईमानदारी का माजा होता है। मैं दिमाग खपा रहा हूं कि एक गरीब के खाते में जिन्होंने गैर कानूनी तरीके से डाला है वो जाए जेल में और गरीब के घर में जाए वो रुपया।
Urging the people to adopt digital ways of making payments, the Prime Minister said he is confident that India is ready to accept the change.
अब जमाना चला गया, अब वक्त बदल चुका है। अब तो मोबाइल फोन में ही आपकी बैंक आ गई है, आपके मोबाइल में ही आपकी बैंक है, आपके मोबाइल फोन में ही आपका बटुआ है। अगर आपके पैसे बैंक में पड़े हैं तो आप मोबाइल फोन से जो खर्च करना है कर सकते हैं, खरीदना है खरीद सकते हैं।
In his speech, the Prime Minister also made a strong pitch for development, reiterating that it's his government's priority to develop villages across India and eradicate poverty. The Prime Minister said his focus now is on big states like Uttar Pradesh, Bihar and Maharashtra. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, day 23 of demonetization and toll plazas across the country are back in business. Back with it were long queues at toll gates and traffic jams even on arterial roads. Here's a report.
As the demonetization relaxations ended at midnight on Friday, toll plazas across the country were back to their old ways, with long queues and a seemingly endless wait. Vehicle after vehicle stood in line to pass the toll gates, some waiting for change, others trying to pay using the old 500 rupee notes.
अभी ऐसा है, हम लोग 15-20 मिनट से क्यू में हैं और नियम ये बोलता है कि आप 5 मिनट से अगर ज़्यादा हो तो आपको क्यू में ये टोल भरने का जरूरत नहीं है। अभी मैं आपके सामने 10 मिनट से इधर वेट कर रहा हूँ।
क्या होगा, चिल्लर का थोड़ा प्रॉब्लम है, कोई प्रॉब्लम। वो 500 ले तो नो प्रॉब्लम।
नहीं जी, हम कहाँ जाए, हम तो ड्राइवर आदमी हैं, कहाँ को माल को बदल के देगा तो करेंगे जी।
Most toll plazas were accepting debit cards, credit cards or payments through e-wallets, but the government's dream of moving towards a cashless economy seemed quite far-fetched as cash was the way to go.
ट्रैफिक में आधे घंटे से खड़े हैं, पहले इतनी दिक्कत नहीं आ रही थी टोल में, अब परेशानी भुगतनी पड़ रही है, अपने समय पर नहीं पहुंच पा रहे हैं हर जगह पे।
Long jams were reported at several arterial roads as well.
इतना ज़्यादा जाम होता है, ये खोलते ही नहीं इसको जाम को ना, लाइन लग जाती है 2-2 किलोमीटर की। सवेरे था नरसिंहपुर तक का जाम था, कोई फ़र्क नहीं पड़ता है इनको कि पब्लिक परेशान हो रखी है। इनको तो ये मतलब है कि हमारा टोल टैक्स मिलना चाहिए।
In the days following demonetization, the government had decided not to collect toll due to a shortage of cash. But that concession ended on Saturday, with old 500 rupee notes acceptable only when the toll fee is more than 200 rupees. Anu Diwan's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, following an intelligence input, security forces launched a combing operation in Jammu and Kashmir's Kulgam district early on Saturday morning. In the resulting encounter between terrorists and the forces, one civilian was killed. However, terrorists managed to escape the spot.
The encounter between security forces and terrorists that broke out in Jammu and Kashmir's Kulgam district on Saturday morning ended with the two suspected terrorists fleeing. A combing operation to find the terrorists was stopped when security forces could not find them. However, the encounter did claim the life of an employee of the Fisheries Department, Asadullah Kumar. In Srinagar, however, the streets came alive with activity as business establishments reopened and vehicles returned to the roads after more than 2 months of a separatist-enforced shutdown. The shutdown has been relaxed in several parts of Kashmir for the weekend.
कश्मीर में 6 महीने गर्मी का ये रिवाज होता है और सर्दी भी होती है, तो सर्दी के लिए जो कमाना होता है वो गर्मियों में कमाना पड़ता है। बदकिस्मती की वजह से अब हालात आपको पता है कि पुरतनाव रहे, तो अब लोग बेचारे जितने भी हैं अभी आप देख रहे हैं कि लोग इस वक्त किस तरफ खचाखच सारा शहर भर चुका है। जो जिसका भी कोई काम रोजगार जिसका भी कहीं से भी मिलता होगा वो अपने अपने काम पे चले गए हैं और अपना रोजगार कमा रहे हैं और इन कम दिनों में वो कुछ ज्यादा कमाना चाहते हैं।
Separatists have repeatedly extended their shutdown call, with the current spell being extended to the 8th of December. About 100 civilians have been killed and over 6,000 wounded in clashes between protesters and security forces since the security forces gunned down Hizbul terrorist Burhan Wani on the 8th of July. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, Pathankot once again was on high alert on Saturday after a local resident spotted 4 to 5 unidentified armed men. The security forces launched a massive operation following the tip-off. As many as 250 security personnel, including SWAT commandos, were deployed in the search operation. One intruder was killed during the operation. Border security force personnel called a flag meeting with Pakistani rangers to hand over the body. However, Pakistani authorities refused to acknowledge the intruder. Well, it's time for a short break now, but news and updates will continue on the other side. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Tales that inspire. Stories of social change. A salute to diversity. Promoting public discourse. Events that motivate. Inspiring the innovative spirit. Watch Rajya Sabha television documentaries.
The Harappan period is also called the Bronze Era. Extensive collection from the era shows the Indus artists were not only well versed in techniques of metallurgy, but also innovations in dance and performing arts. This is best seen in the famous Mohenjo-daro relic, the Indus dancing girl. No less impressive is the man drawing a bullock cart depicting agriculture activities. Bronze elephants, on the other hand, show domesticated animals used for transport.
Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha television. Well, Syrian government forces have gained control of close to 2/3 of the rebel-held areas of East Aleppo after another district was seized. The Tariq al-Bab district fell on Friday, opening up a link between government-held areas and Aleppo's airport. However, the big worry remains the close to 2.5 lakh people still trapped in besieged areas of the city. Tens of thousands of people have been displaced since fighting began. The United Nations says that conditions in East Aleppo are now so dire that medical operations were being conducted without anesthetics. Clashes in the district have also left thousands of fighters on both sides killed or injured. Heavy shelling of the east continued through the night on Friday. Aleppo was once Syria's largest city and its commercial and industrial hub before the uprising against President Bashar al-Assad began in 2011. It has been divided in roughly two for the past 4 years. But in the past 11 months, Syrian troops have broken the deadlock with the help of Iranian-backed militias and Russian airstrikes. Well, China has lodged a complaint with the US after its President-elect Donald Trump spoke directly with the Taiwanese president. This is the first interaction with Taiwan by a President-elect or president since the US adopted a one-China policy in 1979. It is not clear if the Trump transition team intended the conversation to signal a border change in US policy towards Taiwan.
US President-elect Donald Trump is known for his unique, unabashed style. But this very attitude is rubbing many the wrong way. With less than 50 days to go before his inauguration, Trump has triggered a diplomatic dispute with China after he spoke on the phone directly with Taiwan's President Tsai Ing-wen. Beijing regards the island as a renegade province, and it immediately lodged a complaint with the United States.
我们敦促美方恪守一个中国政策和中美3个联合公报的原则，慎重处理台湾问题，不要开历史倒车，以免损害中美关系的大局。
After speaking to Taiwan's president, Trump tweeted that President of Taiwan had called him to congratulate him. He followed it up with another tweet, interesting how the US sells Taiwan billions of dollars of military equipment, but I should not accept a congratulatory call. Trump's team clarified it was Taiwan's president who had called him, seeking to strengthen bilateral interaction. It is noteworthy that Washington cut formal diplomatic ties with Taiwan in 1979, expressing its support for Beijing's One China concept, which states that Taiwan is a part of China. The White House has said that Trump's conversation does not signal any change in US policy. The call risks throwing US-China relations into a tailspin before Trump takes the oath of office on 20th of January. It has prompted questions over whether Trump intends a shift in US policy or if this was just a blunder by a team with limited experience in international affairs. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, here's a roundup of the other international news and global buzz. The US House of Representatives has passed a defense bill that pledges $900 million in economic and other assistance to Pakistan. The bill limits the overall amount available for reimbursement to $1.1 billion, of which $900 million is available for reimbursement to Pakistan. The US National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 2017 was passed in the House of Representatives on Friday. The bill is scheduled for a vote in the Senate next week. Since it is a consensus bill, it is unlikely to face any opposition. Thousands of protesters gathered in Seoul for the 6th straight week on Saturday to demand the ouster of scandal-head President Park Geun-hye ahead of an impeachment vote in Parliament. The latest in a series of massive anti-Park demonstrations in the South Korean capital came just hours after opposition parties filed an impeachment motion that will be put to a vote by MPs on Friday. Whether the motion is adopted or not, Park is firmly on course to become the first democratically elected South Korean president not to complete a full 5-year term. Gambia's authoritarian president Yahya Jammeh has suffered a surprise defeat in the country's presidential elections. He will be replaced by property developer Adama Barrow, who won more than 45% of the vote. Jammeh, who became to power in a coup in 1994, made a friendly telephone call to President-elect Adama Barrow on Friday, saying he wished him all the best. The West African state has not had a smooth transfer of power since independence from Britain in 1965. The convoy carrying the ashes of Cuba's late communist leader Fidel Castro ends an island-wide journey on Saturday in the cradle of his revolution for a big ceremony before his burial. President Raul Castro will deliver a much-awaited speech during a massive tribute with foreign dignitaries on Saturday evening. Capping a 9-day mourning period, the remains will be interred during a private ceremony on Sunday at the Santa Ifigenia Cemetery. Well, it's time for some sports news now in Sports Beat. Olympic silver medalist PV Sindhu jumped 2 places to achieve her career best ranking of 7 in the world, while Saina Nehwal is also back in the top 10 in the latest BWF world ranking. Sindhu has 68,699 ranking points. She will carry Indian hopes at the Dubai Super Series final. Former world number 1 Saina improved a spot after slipping 5 places to 11th last week. Pakistan's women's team defeated Thailand women's team by 5 wickets in the final group match of the Asia Cricket Council Women's T20 Asia Cup in Bangkok on Saturday. With the win, Pakistan finished second in the group standings with 8 points and will face defending champions India in the final of the tournament on Sunday. Indian professional boxer Vijender Singh will be defending his WBO Asia Pacific Super Middleweight title against former world champion Francis Cheka. Vijender claimed that he would show him what his place is. The fight will be held on December 17th at Delhi's Tyagaraja Stadium. Jamaican sprinter Usain Bolt won the International Association of Athletics Federation's award for Male Athlete of the Year for a record 6th time on Friday. He last won the award in 2013, while his first win came in 2008. Bolt, who is undefeated this season in all distances, completed his triple-triple of 100 meters, 200 meters and 4x100 meters Olympic goals in August. Basketball player LeBron James has been chosen as Sports Illustrated's Sportsperson of the Year, becoming the second athlete to win the award twice. James edged out Usain Bolt, Michael Phelps, Premier League champions Leicester City, among others. James had led his team, the Cleveland Cavaliers, to the 2016 NBA title and was named NBA's most valuable player. Well, that's it on this edition of the newscast. Have a good evening.